But we all discovered that it was a really great embossing ink because it's very sticky and it stays wet a long time. So it's a clear ink. Now you can't prove it by my dirty pad because my stamps don't get clean, so therefore my pads are dirty. But you can see here the re-inker, see it's a clear ink, very sticky, tacky ink. So when I stamp with it, I stamp extra slowly. So I'm pressing down and holding it as I roll through it. If you're stamping with a flat-mounted stamp, wood mount or whatever, press and hold a little bit. Leave it on the paper a little bit. You want to make sure you get good coverage with it, okay? And like I said, the ink is clear, but the reason you're seeing a little bit of color is because my pad is dirty and so is my stamp. That was probably the last color I used on my stamp. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to be covering it up. So then what I'm going to do is I'm using these artist grade pastels. These are called Pan Pastels. P-A-N if my southern accent threw you. They're just little small pans of artist quality pastels. Remember pastels used to come in sticks? Artist pastels came in sticks, and you know, kind of a royal pain. This particular company has reformulated them to put them in a pan form like this so that you can use it more like a palette. So they were really created for artists who paint and color with them. It used to be that like the sticks used to be about this size, and they would take their one color stick and they'd rub a color down and then they'd smear it and they'd take another stick, and that's the way they paint with them. Now they can use these different tips and tools and sponges and just dip directly into these dry pans and get color out of it. So so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use these sponges. Now these sponges look like makeup sponges, but if you feel them, they're very, very dense. They're much thicker and denser, particularly these shapes. They're much thicker and denser than a regular makeup sponge. So they're designed, they're not as porous. The holes, the openings aren't as porous as a makeup sponge, so you get a really smooth blend with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and apply some color. And I'm just going to randomly apply color. If you wanted to be really particular and put color in certain areas on certain flowers or whatever, you could. I do that once in a while, but not too often because I don't have the most patience in the world. I want it fast and I want it quick. And now I'm rubbing my excess. When I'm done with the color, I will rub my excess on a scrap piece of paper to clean my sponge and also to not waste my Pan Pastels. These sheets here are where I've cleaned off my sponges, and then eventually I'll use one of those and start with that. There's one here, like this one. This one actually started with one of my scrap pieces where I just cleaned off my sponges. All right, now I'm gonna. I'm sorry, what?
Do you mind if I stand?
Oh, no, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay, so I'm gonna go to an orange now. Okay. Again, rubbing off my excess.
Looks like it blends really nice
It's
too.
very smooth. To be a dry product, it almost has a creamy feel to it. You can also create colors. You see this pretty periwinkle color? You notice I don't have that color anywhere on my palette. I took a sponge and dipped it in this, and white and made periwinkle. And that's how smoothly and easily the colors blend. All right, let's do a yellow. Let's do let's do a bright yellow. And I'm being very, very loose and random with it. And let's face it, it doesn't look so good. I know you're thinking it. I can hear it. No, that's what you're thinking. I'm thinking the same thing. Okay, but that's all I'm going to do with it. So there's that'll make a background at some point. Now, I'm going to rub over the whole thing and blend it. Technically, I can rub over it with any of these colors because all these colors blend with each other very easily. They're all the same medium, so they're smooth and blend with each other. But common sense tells me green or blue or brown might not look so good over it. So I tend to use the gold and the silver, the colorless blender. Now this one is colorless. It looks white, but it actually has no pigment in it. If you compare it to the white, you can kind of see the difference. It's just a blender. I could use that, or sometimes I might use the pearlescents to blend because they're lighter in color. Okay. I think for this one, I'm going to use. I'm going to use the pearlescent yellow. And so I'm using a bigger sponge because I'm just going to quickly rub over the whole thing. And see how it smooths it out? Blends all the colors, takes away all that rough look. But I've got multiple colors. Isn't that pretty? Very, very easy to do. And of course, because I've used, whoops, I missed a spot. Because I used the pearlescent, if you pass it around, you can see it's got a pearlescent sheen to it. The metallics actually have more of a shine than the pearlescents because they've got more, I guess, mica in them or whatever. What kind of cardstock? Just regular, uncoated, plain cardstock. Yeah. You don't need anything expensive to do this with. And I'm using a smooth cardstock because, of course, that gives me a smooth finish. But like, let's say if you used a watercolor, like a cold press that has texture, well, heck, that texture's gonna look really nice, you know. So just anything, whatever.
And you can use any mediums over them?
Yep. Donna Downey, there's a couple of sets over there that were colors that were put together for her. She's a mixed media artist, and there's some sets over there that are her sets. And when you buy the set, you also get a link to a free video, a DVD that she made that teaches you how to use the mixed medias with it and everything. I've heard it's a really good video. I've not seen it myself. But yeah, she uses it with stencil paste and paints and all sorts of things.